Hi, my name is Dr. Komal Smriti and I'm a coach by profession. Apart from being passionate about what I do, I love to reflect on what happens with me, around me, with life. And this is something which has been a part of my life for a very long time. And I would say that as much as I've learned from books and from other people, I have also learned because of the observations and reflections that I do. And most often, I love to share what I reflect in the way of writing. But of late, I have recognized that I also love to talk about my reflections and what comes out of those reflections for me. So here I am wanting to share something else that has shown up for me recently. So lately, I started to play cricket with my young boy because he likes to play cricket. And one day, when we were coming back after playing cricket, he asked me, he said, "When did you play cricket?" Incidentally, that was the first day we went out to play cricket. And I was like, "Well, today." And he was quite surprised. He said, "You never played cricket while growing up?" And so I told him, I said, "On the contrary, I've always felt that out of all the games, I can never play cricket." And he was like, "Why would you think so?" And I said, and it is a little crazy assumption, but I'd always felt that if I try to play cricket, I'll be so bad that I wouldn't even be able to hit the ball with my bat. Looking back now, it seems funny. It seems crazy. Like even without trying, even without holding a bat, you're just thinking that, oh, I can never do that, and you don't do it. Anyhow, it was quite funny, but it also made me think in the moment that what a silly assumption that was. Because now that I play with him, I'm not bad. I mean, obviously, I'm not a champion, but I'm not bad. I can at least play the game decent enough to engage him and to enjoy. And that made me feel like, irrespective of whatever age and stage we are in life, we all made so many assumptions and keep ourselves limited, keep ourselves away from so many potential possibilities in life, so much to explore and feel that we could be good at something. And then that made me feel like, but why do we make these sort of assumptions? And what do these assumptions do? And then my reflection sort of started. So I felt like if we first go on what do these assumptions do, is definitely these assumptions keep us away from certain activities and certain actions and keep us included in certain other areas, which could be both good and bad because maybe we are able to focus all our energy into one specific place, into one specific action, or in one specific area that we choose in life. But the downside is that with those assumptions, we also limit our own opportunities to know about ourselves, to explore more about who we really are as individuals, as people. Because the way I look at life and everything that we choose to do is an opportunity to know more about ourselves eventually. We know about ourselves through our experiences, through the people that we live with, work with, deal with. We get to know about ourselves through putting ourselves in different challenges, putting ourselves in different situations, and then feeling and sensing how we are being in that moment. But if we just go on making assumptions, we rob ourselves from that opportunity to come closer to ourselves, to know more about ourselves. So that's the pros and cons of making assumptions. Why do we make assumptions? I'm sure there are quite a lot of ways to look at it. There could be psychological ways, there could be neurobiological ways, and there could be philosophical ways of why we make assumptions. But how I would like to explain is why probably I made such an assumption. And in my case, it wasn't just cricket about which I made assumptions. I actually made assumptions about sports altogether. I'd never sort of related myself as a sports person or an athletic person. I liked sports. I had good friends who were quite athletic and who would play a lot of games, but I was always like, no. And then back then I felt like maybe I don't like this, or I don't have enough energy, or I cannot run, or I'm lazy. I remember a very funny incident. I was doing MBA in those days, and in university we had our interdepartmental athletic meet, and there were various different sports events that were to happen, and all these different departments were to propose the name of both in boys and girls category who will be participating in those different athletic events. And there was a relay race, a 400-meter relay race, like 100 into 4 relay race. And since we're all like MBA graduate students, and just 1 or 2 out of the entire number of students were athletic, or who could really be like the competitive students. So we were like, oh God, what do we do? Who is going to be in the team? So whoever we got to know in the girls' team, that any girl who would be like, we'll say, okay, fit enough to run, we'll push her and say, oh no, you can run and you will win, and let's make a team, and this and that. And so finally, after doing a lot of this pep talk and motivation, we had a team of 4 girls who sort of became courageous enough to motivate and motivated enough to participate in that 100 into 4 relay race. And me and some other friends as well, we like the motivators of the team, and we're like, okay, we will be running alongside you, don't worry, and we'll be there. So the race started, and so the girls are running in the track. So there are 4 girls who have to run 100 meters each, and then after that they have to pass the baton to the other girl, and so they each have to run 100 meters. And I'm inside, like outside the track, but in the inner circle around which the track was made, and running alongside them. Yes, go, just a little bit. And then this girl passed on the baton to the another, and then I'm running with the other girl, and it's like, yes, you can do it, and you can do it. And so the race happened, and I don't remember, maybe we got the silver medal or something. Our team won finally. We were very happy and excited. So I remember the dean of our department, Professor Thuran, he called me from far away. He said, come here. And I was like, okay. And he said, those girls each have run 100 meters. And you have run 400 meters with them outside the track. Couldn't you have participated? And it hit me at that moment that, yeah, and I felt a little foolish and a little embarrassed in that moment, All this while we've been trying to push and motivate other team members to play and win, and they got medals. And in order to keep them all motivated, I eventually ran 400 meters, but I didn't participate as one of the runners who was just supposed to run 100 meters. And I was like, yeah, he's right. I mean, yeah, I could have, but I never knew that I could run. run. And because I never saw myself as a sports person, I never thought that I have the capacity to be active, to be good in some sports. And if I look back and probably try to think like from where it happened, when did it go to my mind that I'm not good at sports? So I think of my childhood. So while I was little girl and while I was growing up, my favorite way of expression with which I identified myself, and a lot of people around me identified me, was that I used to dance. I was a good dancer. Everybody loved to see me dance, and I also loved to dance and perform and be on stage. So much so that I don't remember when I learned to dance, when my mom taught me to dance. I feel like the moment I started to stand, she would have probably taught me to dance instead of walk. And when I was little, everybody likes a little child dancing or performing or something. And so they all sort of motivate and buck up and appreciate. And I was quite a performer in my childhood. My mom tells me that it used to be like in my neighborhood, everybody would like gather together in a circle and they'll sit and they'll tell me that just dance. And I would say that, okay, you first clap and I'll dance, but if you stop clapping, I'm not going to dance. So that tells me that right from a very young age, I had that performer in me, and who loved that attention and who loved to perform for people and their joy. And because they were happy, I felt happy in that activity. And it went on for quite a long time. I'd performed on stage for many years in my school days and school years, and the time of annual function in the school used to be my most favorite time. And I had such a strong identification with being a performer, being a dancer, that I just loved it. Coming to the sports side now. So I used to study when I was in elementary grades in a school where my mom was a teacher as well. And my mom was a sports teacher. So she would be very strict on me, because she wouldn't want other students to feel like because I am her daughter, I've got some special preferences or favors. So she would rather be extra strict on me. And I remember sometimes I used to also go out and play in the ground and play all sort of games. But once I remember I fell really bad and hurt myself while playing some game, I think Coco or something. And the other students, other children sort of helped me get up, and I started to cry, and she scolded me. She was like, so I think I didn't like the fact that I got scolded, or that I'm not able to do as good in here in this field as I'm able to do on stage in dance and drama. I think I preferred the space where I had more attention from people, more love and affection from people, than a place where I do not come close to that level of performance. So that was this little judge inside my mind thinking that, oh, I like that space because I'm good at that. And because I'm not as good as that, because I'm not getting as much of praise and attention from everybody as I get in that space, I don't like it because I get scolded, because I get hurt. Uh, and so I think I started to keep my distance from sports and gotten more and more into the area which I was more fond of. Now, it's an interesting thing that how self image gets created, how we start forming impressions about ourselves and start associating ourselves with certain capacities, certain qualities, and not certain other things. But if we look deeply, it depends quite a lot on what kind of responses we have gotten in those specific areas. So, if we get appreciated and pampered and loved doing certain things, we'll be quite readily, enjoy, we'll be quite ready to put in more energy in that area, and we'll start to identify ourselves with that specific activity. And where we get comparisons, complaints, ridicule, we feel like, I'm not that. And I think that's what sort of happened with me. I was too attached to people's attention and admiration in my younger days. And so I could never sort of take the other activity as a challenge or something that I can get better at and I can prove myself. But that attention trap sort of made me make all those assumptions that I'm not cut out for sports or I'm not good at this, and so I'm just going to restrict myself in that particular area. And that's how I sort of created a self bubble around me till it burst eventually. And apart from how do we identify ourselves, I think there's also one more factor which plays quite heavily, and that is also something we learn from people around us while growing up, is that with what intention we are approaching or entering into some sort of an activity. Like I notice, and especially these days with the younger children and with the parents, what happens is if a child sort of expresses an interest in any particular activity, we parents get really excited and say, oh yes, this could be his or her skill, and then we like, okay, yeah, sure, do it. And say, for example, if a child says that, oh, I like football, we would be like, yes, go out, play. And if the child shows any small inkling, we'll be like dreaming about, my child is going to be the next Maradona or whoever. If the child shows any interests towards music, we think that it's going to be the next whoever big in the field of music. So we sort of become so outcome oriented that at the beginning of every activity, we sort of just want it to be the best, want our child to go to till the end of it, without actually leaving the room and space for experimentation, which is very important in childhood. You know, Anything new can look very attractive and exciting for a child until the time they go through these multiple different sort of activities and spend considerable amount of time in them. They would not know what really, sits with them, what really is their natural ability or tendency, where in which area they want to grow into, unless it doesn't hold any joy. We do not allow our children these days to just put their time into an activity just for the sake of it, just to have fun and just to enjoy and just to get a feel of this activity. Rather, we like time is currency. Even for children, come on. I mean, and then what happens is comes that pressure of performance, pressure of being something, pressure of improving constantly, outcome orientation. And sometimes that mindset also makes the children make assumptions, limit themselves, feel about themselves that I'm not this or I'm not that. And I think that was also another reason with me, because I was never comfortable with competition, ever. And when I say competition, I mean competition with other people. So wherever, in whichever area I had to compete with others, it was a huge place of anxiety and nervousness for me. When it's competition with self, I love it. I mean, I like to challenge myself beyond my abilities. I like to continue to learn more and more. And whenever I learn something new that I hadn't known before, I'm glued to it. I enjoy it so much. And I like to learn just for the sake of learning, even if I don't have to do something with it, right? But when it is about learning because I have to compete with somebody else, it puts my mind into again that place of anxiousness, I would say. And I don't like to be in that space. Maybe because in a very different, deeper way, perhaps I'm also associated with outcome orientation. Like, what is going to be the outcome of competing with other people? And let's accept it. Everybody likes to win. Winning is good. It does make you happy, and nobody likes to fail, or nobody likes to come behind, and it can be painful. But that's the truth of life. Whenever we sort of compete with other people, there will always be there'll be one winner and there'll be several others who are not the winners, who are the losers. But if we continue to compete with ourselves, we are always the winner. We're always better than yesterday. Maybe that's another reason which sort of brings us towards assumption. Now, that's my little rant about my experiences and my reflections about, what sort of makes us make assumptions in life and keep ourselves limited. And why I'm sharing this with all of you is for you to also reflect on this question and see where and how you make certain assumptions in your life. Where do you see your children making assumptions? And Why do they make those assumptions? What is behind them? Is it working for them, or is it working against them? Is it limiting them, or is it really sort of it's good for where they are? And explore. For what purpose? Maybe nothing, or maybe something. Do it just for the joy of reflecting, just for the joy of observation, and just for the joy of getting to learn a little more about yourself, a little more about people around you, people who matter. And if you find something, I would be really happy if you could share it with me. Share it in the chat. See you next time. Take care. Bye.